Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US Vice President and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris bets on Tim Walz as the running mate. Trump blasts Walz as liberal extremist. Hamas names an architect of October 7th attacks, Yahya Sinwar, as the new political leader. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says new Hamas chief must decide on Gaza ceasefire. Nobel Peace Prize laureate Muhammad Yunus appointed head of interim government in Bangladesh. Tropical storm Debby soaks U.S. southeast. North and South Carolina declare emergency as heavy rainfall expected in the region. At least 6 people killed in Florida and Georgia. Double bronze medalist at Paris Olympics, Manu Bhaker returns home to a rousing welcome. Hundreds of fans throng Delhi airport to applaud her feat. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris shared the stage with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on Tuesday for the first time since he was announced as her running mate for the 2024 presidential election. Walz made a strong debut as U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate, launching sharp attacks against former President Donald Trump and Republican Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance at a rally in Philadelphia. Walz said violent crime was up under Donald Trump, not even counting the crimes he committed.
He drove our economy into the ground, and make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
The Minnesota governor expressed his eagerness to debate Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance.
I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy and, yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see.
The Trump campaign and leading Republicans have launched their first attacks on Tim Walz, labeling him as far left, dangerously liberal and a radical. Donald Trump, in a social media post, said that Tim Walz would be the worst vice president in history. Trump added that Walz will unleash hell on earth and open the U.S.'s border to the worst criminals imaginable. Republican Vice President candidate J.D. Vance said that Walz was on the far left of the Democratic Party and was chosen because Harris was a radical herself.
My view on it is it just highlights how radical Kamala Harris is. This is a person who listened to the Hamas wing of her own party and selecting a nominee. This is a guy who's proposed shipping more manufacturing jobs to China, who wants to make the American people more reliant on garbage energy instead of good American energy, and has proposed defunding the police just as Kamala Harris does. I think it's interesting, actually, they make an interesting tag team because, of course, Tim Walz allowed rioters to burn down Minneapolis in the summer of 2020, and then the few who got caught, Kamala Harris helped bail them out of jail.
All right, changing focus to Hamas-Israel crisis now. Hamas chose Yahya Sinwar, one of the architects of the deadly October 7th attacks, as the next head of the group's political office, consolidating his power over the terrorist group as it continues the conflict with Israel. Sinwar is seen by Israel as the mastermind behind the October 7th attack by Hamas inside Israeli territory, in which over 1,100 people were killed and more than 200 others were taken captive. Sinwar, who spent 2 decades in Israeli prisons, has been long viewed by Israeli officials as a strategist with a keen understanding of their society. He has been Hamas's leader in Gaza since 2017, but he will now replace Ismail Haniyeh, the group's top political leader, who was a key liaison in the indirect ceasefire talks with Israel. The United States has communicated to Iran and Israel that there is consensus in West Asia that the conflict must not escalate. Speaking after a meeting with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and their Australian counterparts, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that talks to achieve a ceasefire and hostage deal on the conflict in Gaza had reached the final stage.
We continue to work intensely to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East and to prevent the spread of conflict. Over the past few days, we've been in constant contact with partners in the region and well beyond. In those conversations, we've heard a clear consensus. No one should escalate this conflict. We've been engaged in intense diplomacy with allies and partners, communicating that message directly to Iran. We've communicated that message directly to Israel.
Meanwhile, sirens are being heard in Kiryat Shimona city in northern Israel as numerous rockets identified as originating from Lebanon were launched into the area. Israel's army said while most of these projectiles were intercepted, remaining few fell in open areas. In response to Israeli Air Force struck two Hezbollah facilities in southern Lebanon. Hezbollah claimed responsibility for the drone attacks earlier, although warning that they were not in retaliation for Israel's killing of a top Hezbollah commander, Fuad Shukr, last week. The Beirut International Airport, the only international airport in Lebanon, has been busy handling passengers in recent days amid the rising regional tension. At least 15 countries, including the United States and France, have urged their citizens to leave Lebanon and avoid traveling to the country. Crowds of people are seen waiting at the departure hall for check-in to leave the country, while there are still some coming back from abroad to get together with their family members in the turbulent times. Nobel Peace Prize laureate Muhammad Yunus was named chief advisor of Bangladesh's interim government on Tuesday. Yunus was appointed to the post by Bangladesh President Mohammad Shahabuddin after he held meetings with student leaders and chiefs of the three military services. The 84-year-old Yunus and his Grameen Bank won the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize for work to lift millions out of poverty by granting tiny loans of under $100 to the rural poor of Bangladesh, but he was indicted by a court in June on charges of embezzlement. The leaders of the anti-discrimination student movement had proposed an interim government led by Nobel laureate Dr. Muhammad Yunus. A spokesperson for Yunus said that he did agree. Yunus is in Paris for a medical procedure and is expected to return to Dhaka soon. Earlier on Tuesday, Shahabuddin dissolved the parliament, clearing the way for the interim government and new elections. The streets of the capital Dhaka were again peaceful on Tuesday, with traffic lighter than usual and many schools and businesses that were shut during the unrest still closed. India's Ministry of External Affairs sources have claimed that the High Commission in Dhaka is functional amid the unrest in neighbouring Bangladesh. The sources further stated that non-essential staff and their families have returned to India on a voluntary basis through commercial flight. Moreover, all diplomats remain in the High Commission. Former Argentine President Alberto Fernandez on Tuesday denied allegations of gender violence made by his ex-partner and former First Lady Fabiola Yunus. Yunus, who currently lives in Spain with her son, had accused Fernandez before an Argentine judge of gender violence as well as psychological harm and phone harassment. In a post on social media platform X, Fernandez said that he had learned of the accusation through media reports and that he planned to provide courts with evidence to support his innocence. Following the acquisition, an Argentine court ruled that Fernandez was banned from leaving the country and from approaching Yunus. Governors in the U.S. states of Georgia and Carolinas have warned residents to prepare for heavy flooding as tropical storm Debby hammers the southeastern United States. Forecasters say Debby is moving back out to the sea, where it will refuel with additional moisture before making a second landfall sometime on Thursday. DD India's U.S. correspondent Kate Fisher gets us more.
Well, here in Washington, US President Joe Biden's approved emergency declarations, making federal funds available to the states of Florida, Georgia and South Carolina. Evacuation warnings were issued for more of the southeastern US coast on Tuesday as Storm Debby continued a slow march across the state of Georgia for a second day. A month's worth of rain fell in the Georgian city of Savannah on Monday. According to the National Weather Service, it reported 17 centimetres. But in the whole of the month of August last year, the city only received 14 centimetres of rain. The city announced an overnight curfew, along with the South Carolinian city of Charleston, as flash flood warnings were issued. Forecasters predict that Debby could make landfall near Charleston on Thursday, and then the weather system could move up the middle of North Carolina through Virginia and into the Washington, D.C. area by Saturday, according to the Hurricane Center. North Carolina and South Carolina have dealt with 3 catastrophic floods from tropical systems in the past 9 years, all causing more than $1 billion in damage. In Washington, Kate Fisher reporting for DD India.
Floods and landslides triggered by heavy rains wreaked chaos across Nepal. Landslides killed 7 in Baglung region, while 4 were rescued alive. Baglung, a hill district in Gandaki province, is the hardest hit by monsoon turmoil. 8 people, including 6 children, perished in landslides at wards 9 and 10 of Badigad rural municipality on Tuesday morning. Floods and landslides have also disrupted various highways and road sections. The vehicular movement was obstructed in the Kotang section of the Sagarmatha highway as the flood damaged road in Ward 11 of Halesi Towachong municipality. Gut Chowki checkpoint of Western Nepal opens for the third country tourists entering India. The relaxation of the restrictions came after a courtesy call by Indian Ambassador to Nepal, Naveen Srivastav, to the Home Minister at the Ministry of Home Affairs. During their meeting, they discussed removal of restrictions on immigration services for citizens from third countries entering India via checkpoints on the Nepal-India border. Now, these were put in place after COVID pandemic. They also talked about maintaining the pre-pandemic status quo at the border checkpoints. Following these discussions, the Indian side removed the restrictions on July 30th, easing the movement of tourists from third countries to India via the Gut Chowki transit point. The death toll from massive landslides in southern state of Kerala's Wayanad district has reached above 400 so far. The relief and search operations are continuing. The Indian Air Force, in coordination with other agencies such as the NDRF and the state administration, has been carrying on airlifting critical logistical supplies as well as evacuation operations. Heavy rainfall triggered landslides in Wayanad last month. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, we'll tell you all about presidential visit to Fiji and her 3-nation tour. Welcome back. After the break, you're watching DD India Live. Let's get to other updates. On her visit to Fiji, President of India Draupadi Murmu visited the Sri Seva Subramania Swami temple at Nadi, Fiji, and offered prayers. Accompanied by her daughter and the official delegation from India, President offered prayers at the temple. The temple, dedicated to Lord Subramania Swami, also known as Lord Kartikeya or Lord Murugan, is built in the traditional Dravidian architecture and is reminiscent of the temples of Tamil Nadu. On Tuesday, India's President Draupadi Murmu addressed Fiji's parliament. She highlighted cooperation in agriculture, climate change, education, space and renewable energy. Fiji conferred its highest civilian award, the Companion of the Order of Fiji, on President Draupadi Murmu. On Tuesday, the president also addressed an enthusiastic gathering of Indian diaspora in Fiji and hailed the contribution of Indians in development and close ties between the two nations. India's Ministry of External Affairs, in association with Confederation of Indian Industries, hosting BIMSTEC Business Summit in the national capital. The first BIMSTEC Business Summit, which began on Tuesday, regional cooperation in trade and investment, as well as energy and regional connectivity, gets an impetus. MOS, External Affairs, Pabitra Margarita inaugurated the Business Summit.
The timing of this event is appropriate, coming at it thus after the second BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers Retreat, which I had the honor to attend, and in the lead up to the 6th BIMSTEC Summit, which is less than a month away. I'm confident that this event will impart more momentum to the growing BIMSTEC process and underline India's commitment to it.
It has clearly identified sectors for pursuing regional cooperation. It has the requisite political support of its members. It's ready to engage external developmental partners, and it's ready to reform and repurpose itself based on the forthcoming report of the Eminent Persons Group.
India is hosting its first multinational air exercise, Tarang Shakti 2024, from 6th of August in Sulur in Tamil Nadu. Nearly 30 countries will participate in Tarang Shakti 2024 and 10 countries will join the exercise with their fighter aircraft. The exercise will be held in 2 phases. In the first phase, Air Force of Germany, France, Spain and the United Kingdom reached India to participate in the exercise with Indian Air Force. DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre spoke with the Air Force officials from all of these countries to explain the significance of these unprecedented war games being held in India.
We're in Sulur of Tamil Nadu, where a joint military exercise took place today. This included air forces from France, Germany, Spain, UK and Indian Air Force as well. So let us take some questions from the Air Force officials that are present here about the kind of experience that they had while this exercise. So you are from the United Kingdom, you are from the UK Royal Air Force. Just wanted to understand the dynamics of the air operations. What are differences when it comes to the European theatre and the Indo-Pacific theatre?
When you're operating a 5th generation Air Force and when you're operating with a leading nation such as India, the type of challenges that you're going to face in the air here are exactly the same as the type of challenges that you're going to face in Europe in terms of complex airspace, air defence systems, adversary aircraft. So to come out to this part of the world, face the challenges that you'll face here, the Met challenges that you're going to have, the challenges of different languages, I think that this just gives us an ideal opportunity to exercise not only with our European partners.
Indian Air Force and German Air Force do not share a lot of equipment, as in they do not have experience of the equipment that the other Air Force use. So what was the experience like for the force?
Well, actually, that's what you just mentioned is one of the biggest advantages which we are looking for. It's impressive to see the variety of the different airframes which is operated by the Indian Air Force from many different countries. And that's what we are looking forward in different, from 1 versus 1, just dogfight maneuvers up to really big exercises.
Learning from each other when it comes to the shared different experiences that we have had from a past conflict.
Indian Air Force is one of our strongest and oldest partner, especially in this area. We created very strong ties between French Air Force and Indian Air Force because we share the same asset, the same aircraft, and we know each other very well. We are able to operate together, and participating to this exercise, Tarang Shakti, is a strong message that how we want to enhance further this cooperation.
What do you think can be learned from each other when it comes to the two air forces?
This region is really important for Europe. India and Spain, we have a very good and solid relationship. Your air chief visited my country some months ago, and we told him we wanted to improve our interoperability, our cooperation, and I think the The Air Force is a very good area for improving our relationship.
Amid the fast-changing geopolitical landscape in the world, the importance of India when it comes to the Indian Ocean region, the Indo-Pacific, or the experience that it has from its conflicts of the past was exemplified. All of these air forces shared their experiences and tested their interoperability for the future alliances of these countries. With camera person SP Dubey, Akshay Dungre, DD India.
And now we get to all the updates from Paris Olympics. India's star shooter Manu Bhaker on Wednesday arrived in Delhi as hundreds of fans gathered outside the airport to give her a warm welcome. Manu Bhaker won 2 bronze medals for India at the Paris Olympics, one in women's 10 meters air pistol event and another in 10 meters air pistol mixed team event with Sarabjot Singh. Bhaker fell short of becoming India's first ever athlete to win 3 individual Olympic medals after finishing 4th in women's 25 meters air pistol shooting event. The 22-year-old is India's first athlete to win 2 medals in one edition. As India lost to Germany 2-3 in the semi-final match against Germany at the Paris Olympics, it will now contest with Spain for the bronze medal. DD India's Narayan Singh spoke to fans gathered to watch the semi-final match.
India lost the semi-final match against Germany, but they played a fantastic hockey here. Now they will play the bronze medal match against Spain. So to talk more on this, we are joined by some fans who will tell what went wrong with India. Fantastic hockey, but somehow we lost the match. So what do you think, what went wrong for India?
I think they played their hearts out. A couple of little things went wrong. You know, penalty corners, missing a couple of players. I'm not going to comment too much, but missing a few players that were defending the penalty corners very well and weren't there in this match, and not converting on our opportunities.
So true. So Amit Rohidas was not there. Yes. Again, definitely that was the vital cog in the Indian defense. Do you think the absence of Amit Rohidas was a factor behind this lose?
I think Amit Rohidas is very expert in taking on the penalty shooter, a penalty corner shooter. We were missing that. All their balls were going towards the goal. None of them were stopped until the third half, in the third quarter, when we started stopping the balls.
We'll get the bronze, hopefully. We will definitely get a medal and play better in the next game.
I think physically you could see that India felt a little bit, out of gas. The Germans were much physically stronger, I thought, in the game. But let's not take anything away from the Indian team. They played brilliantly well. And I think it was just not the day for them to win.
Yeah, surely India will win. This day they did really good, but they lost. But it's okay, and they will surely win for bronze medal. Check the India.
We know that they lost against the Germany, but we know that there were few reasons. Amit Rohidas was not there, and hopefully with the return of Amit Rohidas, our defense will be very packed in the bronze medal match against Spain, and we know that we have a fantastic record against Spain too, and we are hoping that definitely Indian team will win a bronze medal in this edition of the Olympic Games. With camera person Senthil, Narayan Singh, DD India, Paris.